welcome everybody. Welcome to everyone on Periscope. Welcome to everybody watching this on YouTube and on my blog. I am Matthias Mazur. We're gonna get going in a few minutes. And I'm just gonna check. If you guys on Periscope have any questions, we're gonna talk about how to make more money, how to make money as a coach, consultant, service provider. So you can just drop them here in Periscope as we go. And if you have any questions, I'll be answering them and posting this online in a few days. Okay, let's get going. I'm just gonna pull up the questions here and make sure we're good. And let's go. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Coach's Corner. I am Matthias Mazur, and in this episode we have a lot of really cool questions. We are live on Periscope. We have the computer, and we also have two books that I'm going to be talking about in today's episode. So we have a lot of questions that we got this week from subscribers and followers and people who are in the coaching and consulting business. And in today's episode, we're really going to go. We have about 8 or 9 questions that we're going to tackle. And if for everyone following on Instagram, if you have any questions, just drop them in and we will get them answered as soon as we have a small break. Generally, these shows, we're together for about 30 to 45 minutes. Generally, we really go, I really like tackling all these issues. And so let's get going. So this show is really for coaches, consultants, speakers, service providers, trainers, therapists who want to increase their income and who just want more freedom in what they do and who want to build a better and more efficient business. So the first question of this week's show comes from Tom. Tom asks, what do you think of charging an hourly fee for consulting or coaching work? Very, very good question. So what do I think about hourly? Well, if you've been following me or if you've seen some of my videos on YouTube or on my blog, you know that I absolutely hate charging on an hourly basis. I think it's just very amateurish, and sorry if if I'm offending some service providers out there, but the truth is I personally feel that charging by the hour is a very bad business decision. I'll get into the alternative once I really kind of destroy the idea of the hourly rate. I think it just sucks. That's really the bottom line. For several reasons. Number one is when you're charging an hourly rate, you basically create a monster for yourself. And I always talk about this idea of creating a monster for yourself. Why? Well, if you're charging $100 or $300 or even $500 an hour, and you have 30 clients a week, you're doing 30-40 hours a week, it's good income, right? It's good income, but what you've actually done is you've actually created a job for yourself. So your income is always dependent on the amount of hours you do, not on the amount of service you provide. Big difference. The money you make, I'll just repeat that again because it's key. If you're charging an hourly rate, the income you're making is directly, dependent on how much you work. So a few questions for you. If you're charging an hourly rate, what happens when you want to go on vacation? What happens when you want to take a week off? What happens when you're sick? What happens when you're completely burned out and you really want to stop for a few weeks or a few months? You can't, because you've created a job for yourself. So I call it kind of like a treadmill, a golden treadmill. Maybe you're making good money if you're charging, like I said, $100, $200, even $500. But again, what happens when you want to take some time off? So I don't think it's sustainable. Yes, it's a sustainable business in a way. It's a sustainable business for a solopreneur. It's a sustainable business if you want to do it just by yourself, but you are always dependent on you. So I personally don't like building businesses like that. I don't recommend building businesses like that. I don't like building businesses that are dependent on only one person, even if it's just me. It doesn't make sense just because, again, The worst number in business is 1. What happens if you're sick? What happens if you just get depressed and you don't want to work for some time? So the hourly rate is, in my opinion, the worst format of charging for consulting or coaching. So coaching and consulting, that was the question. I really would not recommend doing that. So what's the alternative? The alternative is creating packages and charging on a value-based, package basis. So the idea is, if you're a health expert and you help people lose weight and get in shape, there's no benefit to you there is a benefit for you in charging people for months and years, and it's a very big misconception. I personally think that I would rather charge someone much more money than do an hourly rate for months and years. That's a big thing. The reason why is I believe that if the clients can get a faster result, it's your responsibility to get him the result as fast as possible. And charging on an hourly rate, an hourly basis, doesn't push you to to really solve the client's problem. So I won't go as far as saying that it's an ethical issue, but I think that if you can create a scenario where you can help your clients get from A to B faster, I think it's your responsibility to do it. And in that case, you have much more value as a service provider in charging more, because it's the same thing as if you go to the dentist, or if you go to if you have pain. Last year I had some major issues with my left hip. I would have paid a lot of money just to get it solved, in the blink of an eye, rather than going for hours and hours and hours to chiropractors and just all that. So I think that if you're charging on an hourly basis, you're actually shooting yourself in the foot. I don't recommend it. I think there's a much better way of pricing your services, and the alternative is creating packages based around the value you deliver. If you know that on average helping someone, again, let's take the example of helping someone get in shape. If you know it's going to take that person 3 months or 6 months or 12 months to get them to where they want to be, don't work on an hourly basis. Charge a kind of like an overall package fee that takes care of everything. Nutrition advice, workouts, coaching like through phone, so phone coaching, even SMS coaching, but really create a bundle that can help that person get faster to where they want to go. So that's what I think about charging an hourly fee. I think it's amateurish. I think it's creating a treadmill for yourself that you always need to keep going, otherwise you have no income. And I think it's actually detrimental to your client's success. Good. If you have any questions on Periscope, shoot them over, and give me some hearts on Periscope too. Give me some hearts, tap the screen so I can get some love here, and we'll move on to question number 2. Question number 2. Joanne asks, what is the best business card you've ever seen and that has had the best impact? Okay, good question, Joanne. So if you attend a lot of conferences and seminars, I'm sure you've seen everyone running around handing out business cards and everything. As a rule of thumb, I actually don't have a business card. I don't recommend having a business card, because as an attendee, and I've put together dozens of my own seminars where I was the speaker, so for our own clients, and I've attended dozens of seminars just as an attendee. And what happens with business cards, it's very simple. You compile a big stack of business cards, and then you get home and you never get back to those business cards, right? You just put them aside and you'll say, yeah, I'll get back to it. And from those business cards, you generally really connect and follow up with 3 people, 5 people at most per event. That's kind of my experience. If I think of the last 5 events I've attended, I've probably connected with at most 6-7 people total. So I think that just running around giving business cards I think it's lame. I mean, I don't do it and I don't recommend it. So what is the best business card? I'm gonna answer the question differently, because really the role of a business card is to get your business out there, right? It's to get attention. And I don't recommend doing a business card. If you have a business card, sure, take it at your next event. But the best thing to give, the best first impression to make, is really to be perceived immediately as the expert. And what's the easiest way to be perceived as an expert is to write a book. Like, I have 2 books here that I'm going to talk about at the end of today's show. But if you can come up with, you don't need to write like a 300-page book. If you just come up with a small booklet, even just a booklet, and you hand that out to other people at the event, it's much more persuasive than coming out and just giving business cards like the hundreds or thousands of people at that event. So I really recommend doing something different. And the way my mind works is usually I just look at what everything's doing and I do the opposite. So when I see 99.9% of people just running around with business cards, I never carry business cards with me. The only thing I do recommend is really being perceived as the expert. And if you really want to network and use that game to go around, at least have something tangible. Have a book that you can give to someone, because that does a lot of things. First of all, it conveys authority. If there's like 500 attendees at the event and you're the only one with a book and you're giving out a book, it's crazy. I mean, the first impression is nuts, because first of all, you're the only one giving away a book. Everyone thinks that it's expensive to give away books. Sure, it costs you maybe, I don't know, $2-3 to get a book printed in like 500 or 1,000 copies. It's $2,000-3,000 that it's an investment in your brand, and the impact that it has on people who meet you for the first time and saying, hey, I wrote the book about how to lower your taxes, or I wrote the book on how to save on electricity. Immediately, people don't even ask, what do you do? Because you actually have a book, right? So it's the best way. I've seen a few people do it, and they immediately stand out from the crowd just because they are perceived as the authority. And it's just for $2-3. I mean, you have an amazing first impression. So, Joanne, the best business card I have ever seen is actually people giving out books at seminars and events, and it's the fastest way to build authority and to be perceived differently than everyone else who's just running around with business cards. Okay, let's see if we have any questions on Periscope. Okay. If you're on Periscope, give me some hearts. Give me some hearts, guys. Awesome. Thanks. Awesome. Thank you. Next question. Lorenzo asks, why do some personal trainers and coaches have more ongoing and loyal clients, and others struggle to renew clients? I need to increase my renewals. That is a very good question. So, okay, I'm going to answer this question a bit differently, Lorenzo, because I think that the real question is, how do you create a bond with your clients? First of all, I assume that you already have clients and that you know how to get clients. So that's the first hurdle, which is good. You already have that. The next issue is retaining clients, because if you have 10 new clients a month, but 9 of them leave, 9 of them don't renew, your attrition rate, so the amount of, I don't know what the exact definition of attrition rate is, but the way you use it in business is the percentage of people who leave and don't renew your service is 90%, right? If you have 10 new clients and you keep only 1 who renews for the next cycle, you're losing 90% of the people. So the easiest way, and this is something I always talk about, the easiest way to make money is to go to people who've already given you money, who've already trusted you. So that's the number one thing. Increasing renewals has really everything to do with the connection you have with clients, meaning two things. One is the actual service and the results that your clients get. So if people aren't renewing, maybe your service sucks. Maybe, I don't know, like I don't have enough details, but that's one thing. I hope that's not your issue, but that can be the issue. If people try it, they pay for a month or a few months and they never renew, and you feel that that's really a commonality in your with your clients, there might be an issue with your service. There might be an issue with what you're actually delivering. So number one thing, I would revisit what you're actually delivering and seeing if you need to improve that. That's number one thing. The second thing is you need to understand that people renew. People renew for the connection they have with you. They don't renew for the information you give them. Everyone can get information on a computer, or on their phone just by Googling. So the information is out there. We live in a world that's just so abundant in information that the key is not more information. So if you're actually doing a good job in delivering your service and getting your client's results, the other thing is maybe you're not connecting enough with them. What I mean by that is, again, I don't recommend becoming best friends with clients, because then there's this weird dynamic that happens where it's like, hey, we're friends now, can I pay you less, or can you train me for free, or can you provide me that service for free? So it's kind of a tricky connection sometimes. So you need to keep that professional relationship. At the same time, people will renew with you if they actually feel a connection with you. Think of the last few books you've bought. Think of the last TV shows you've watched. Think of the documentaries, if you've been following actors or documentary filmmakers for some time. It might be for the material, but it's usually because you feel a better connection with them rather than their competition. So that's a big thing. Understanding that you are in a business where there is obviously human relationships, and that people will connect with you and renew if they feel a connection with you, and that if they feel that you're the guy who can help them get where they want to be. And that's a big thing. They need to feel that you are the answer to the issue. If they feel that you haven't given them a satisfactory service, you need to go back and fix your service. If your service is good, you need to convey that you actually have a lot of other tricks up your sleeve, and that's the other thing. It doesn't mean hiding your expertise, or just just keeping things on the side in the hopes that they renew. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that you need to cultivate an image where they feel like you have more to give them, that they feel like the longer they stay with you, the better the results. So it's really more about the kind of like the myth and the legend around you. And how do you create a legend? How do you create a myth? How do you create a brand? You do what I'm doing now. You publish, you write articles, you write books, you do live web shows, you you just put out content and you share that on social media. Your clients need to feel like you always have more. You always have more solutions to help them get from A to B. Okay, so that's kind of the overview on that question. In terms of renewals, if you're having issues, analyze if you need to increase the quality of the service and the deliverable that you're actually giving. And if your deliverable is good, at that point you just need to see, okay, how can I create a feeling that I am the answer to everything. Cool. Let's move on. We just have Twitter question, a Periscope question from Rob. Rob, can you type that question again, please? And we'll answer it ASAP. While I wait for Rob, I'm just gonna get some water. Thanks for the hearts. Okay, Rob asks, how can we decide the price of our service? That's an amazing question. Pricing. How can we decide how can we decide the price of our service? That's a Periscope question that just came in. Very good question. So there's a few things that that you need to take, in consideration. Number one is you need to have a look at what the competition is doing. And I hate answering with that answer, but it's the truth. You need to see what's out there, because you need to see if someone has already taken the position of the high-end and expensive and Ferrari position in that marketplace. If people are actually, if someone's already positioned as the most expensive value and service provider in the market, or if the market is more of an average to mid to low priced market. And that's that's a big thing. So first thing, you need to do your research, kind of see what's out there and understand who's positioned how, and having a look at who's positioned at the high end and what they do and what they've done, what kind of brand they've built to be positioned at that level, and then what the cheap end of the market does, and how not to position yourself as them, because I always talk about, you always want to be the Ferrari, the Bentley, like the high end, own the high end market rather than competing on price. So first of all, never compete on price. Never price your product because you think that people won't have the money to pay. Okay, I always talk about this, about in any marketplace, there's always going to be people who are going to fly private and have a private jet, and there's always going to be people who are going to fly EasyJet. So in Europe, we have this low-cost company called EasyJet, and you can fly literally for like 20 bucks. So both ends of the market work, but being positioned as the high-end solution is always more attractive. You make more money, you work less because you don't need as many clients, and it's just more attractive. So that's number two thing. Number one, have a look at what the competition is doing. Number two, always try to take the high value, high priced position in the marketplace. Then for the pricing, it all depends on what service you actually provide. Meaning, if you are a service provider that solves big problems, if you can walk into a company and say, okay, I can save 5% or 10% and make you 10% more on the bottom line just by restructuring, your employees, trimming kind of the fat, that's a huge value proposition, because for the right client, that can mean millions or even tens of millions of dollars in more money, in revenue, in profits. So if you can deliver a product, so a service that really has a high value, you can directly price your services at a much higher rate. That's why being a bottom line consultant and charging on an hourly rate is stupid. You really want to go after demographics. And Rob, if you want to tell me kind of like what market you're in, I can give you even a more specific answer. But that's number one thing. You need to see kind of like what results do you provide to your clients? How much of a transformation is that in their lives for them? I'll give you an example. If you're in the health market and you're helping people lose weight, you can price yourself selling $50 an hour, personal training sessions and nutritional advice. Or you can say, I only want to work with 5 people a year, but my fee is $20,000 or $50,000. And in that package, you actually follow and you service the client for 12 months. So the value proposition is very different. For the right person, paying $5,000 a month for someone who has money is nothing. It's a drop in the ocean for some people. For other people, it's everything they make in a year, right? So first you need to kind of like position yourself, decide on where you want to be positioned in the market. I always recommend to go high end because that's where you're going to get the highest quality clients. And the number two thing is to see what's the result that you provide people with. How much of a transformation do you give into their lives, and how much is that worth for them? Okay, for example, let's go back to the health example. If you're actually helping your clients lose, I don't know, 20 kilos a year, so about 50 pounds. If they've spent thousands or tens of thousands of dollars in pills or in, get thin, quick solutions, and they've already wasted all that money without having results, you know that they have the money to invest and that they are a buyer, that they are committed to losing weight. So if someone's already spent $10,000 on a solution or solutions that don't work, if you come up and you offer a product that's superior and actually gets the results for $10,000 for the same amount or even double, some people will be happy to pay that because they know that they'll get the answer. They know that they'll get the results. So you really need to work on a value-based proposition. What's the end result that you can provide your clients with, and charge based on the result and not based on the work you do, because the faster you can get someone from A to B, the more you should charge, right? Clients don't want to be in pain for months and years. They want to get their solution, their issues solved ASAP. So the faster you can get someone from A to B, the more you should charge. So that's kind of my answer, Rob. If you have any more questions about more specifically, just type them in Periscope. But that's kind of the question on how to price. So really go after, assume the high-end position, do everything you can. To assume the high-end position, you generally need to become an authority, meaning publishing, meaning writing a book, meaning doing video shows, putting on a lot of content out to prove that you have the goods. And then you actually need to see what kind of results you can get for people. And then charge based on the results you get and not based on the work you do. Because if I walk into a company, in one day, I can generally increase the company's income by 10, 20%, sometimes even more. So it would be stupid to charge on an hourly rate because I know that the results just on tweaking a few things that I can provide can really transform a company. So why would I charge on an hourly rate? I really want to charge on a result-based rate, meaning I'll charge a very high fee because I know that the impact that I'm having is very high. So that's my answer to Rob on Periscope. Okay, let's get to the next question, which is Marissa asks, when doing face-to-face sales presentations with prospective clients, what is the number one way to convert someone into a client? Good question. Number one way to convert someone into a client. Well, the number one thing I would say is forget about doing sales presentations. I don't know what exactly you're doing if you're a coach or consultant, but you don't want to be pitching. You want to be selecting, meaning you want to have an application process so people can apply to work with you, not you going out and just pitching. So instead of the word sales presentation, I encourage you to think of how you can have a consultation or a strategy session with someone and see if there's a fit based on what you provide and what they have, the issues they have. So that's the number one thing. About the number one way to convert someone into a client, really I could give a seminar about this. My next book is about sales and converting prospects into clients, so check that out. It'll be all over my website. But the number one way really to convert a prospect into a client is to show them the difference between their current situation and their desired income. I'm just going to recap what I told Marissa. If you're doing sales presentations, you need to stop pitching, and you need to start being you need to start diagnosing. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Marissa, if you're doing sales presentations, you need to stop doing sales presentations. You need to become the doctor. You need to become, you need to diagnose the situations. You need to ask the clients where they are right now, where they want to be, and help them bridge the gap. And you are the bridge between those 2 points. If you can show them that you actually shine a light on the issue, shine a light on how much of a difference there is between where they are right now and where they want to go, your pricing structure will never be an issue, because they will understand how much work and how much of a difference there is between the situation A and situation B. Cool. Let's get to the next question. If you have any questions on Periscope, let me know. Awesome. Let's go. Serena asks, what is the number one skill in your opinion that consultants can bring to their clients? Number one skill in your opinion that consultants can bring to their clients? That's a good question. I think that most of the time it's not a question of information. It's not about how much information you can give your client, because information is everywhere. I mean, there's millions of books around, there's the internet. I mean, you can find information in a second online. So it's never about information. I think that, I mean, from my experience, it's generally all about taking information away. It's actually about helping them focus. Most of the time, people who are open to the idea of having a coach or a consultant help them, they've actually done research. Usually it's people who have experience, who understand the value of having someone else helping them. And generally it's not an issue of the information, of the amount of information. It can be an issue of a matter of the right information at the right time. Because again, if you go into a bookstore, for example, you're going to find millions of books, but not all the books apply to your situation. So I think the consultant and the coach's number one mission is to present the right information at the right time. Okay. For example, let's get back to the health example we've had all day today. If you're helping people get healthier, and your first client is 100 pounds overweight. Let's say he's 50 kilos overweight, and you could provide them the information of doing interval sprinting uphill. But if they do that on day one, they'll probably die, right? So it's good information, but it's not the right timing. So the consultant and the service provider's job is to bring in my opinion, is to bring focus to what needs to be done now. And after that first step, what needs to be done step 2, what needs to be done step 3. And by the way, you don't need to come up with all these steps today. You can, since every client situation is different, you actually come up with these situations as the client progresses. But I think really that the number one skill, like you asked, number one skill is really helping the client get focus. Helping the client get focus. If you can remove all the information they have, generally they will get better results if you can just drip feed the right information at the right time. That's what I think, Serena, is the number one skill that consultants can bring to their clients. Jared asks, my target market is small but very affluent. I can do mass scale advertising on social media. What would you advise me to do? Okay, so this is interesting because I actually consulted for a company that does, the target market is very small, so they can't go and do mass Google AdWords or Facebook ads. It doesn't make sense. They literally have about 50 to 100 clients, and that's it. But the value per client is very high. It's 7 figures per client. So when you have a small target market, but you know that every client is worth $1 million, what I would recommend, and what we help them create and really get their mind straight with, is to create an irresistible box, what generally is called a shock and awe box. So instead of being, coming back to who asked a question about sales presentations, Marissa, instead of doing sales presentations, because generally when you go into a pitch, you have to show what you have, right? You have to, because the person hasn't paid you yet. But if you use this concept of creating a shock and awe box, it really completely shifts the power in the relationship with your prospective clients. So what is a shock and awe box? Think of it like this. Let's say you're targeting 100 clients. You have 100 clients in your target market. I would recommend you spending 50 to 100 bucks on getting in front of those clients in a very different way than just cold calling or just walking into their office. When you're dealing with big like 7-figure deals, you need to be able to stand out. You need to be able to prove that you actually have the goods. So how do you do that? Well, you actually show them the goods in advance. So if you have a book, first of all, if you don't have a book, you need to have a book. So you need to write a book. I mean, you can write a book this month. In 30 days, you should have a book with, for example, I'm writing my next book now, and I'm doing it with my phone. I'm literally dictating and it's writing for me. And then, my editor is just going through it and editing it into, something that's readable. But if you don't have a book, you need to have a book. That's the number one way to really convey authority. Then, I want you to think of a package you can send them, like a physical package that maybe weighs 5 pounds or 10 pounds of stuff that really gets into their hands, where in that package you have all your credibility pieces. You have a book, you can have a brochure of your testimonial, so former clients or people who are influential in your space and who've said good things about you, so a testimonial booklet. You can have CDs or DVDs or USB keys with interviews about you, about your company, about the services you provide, about happy clients, showing them that you actually have a track record and people have paid you money, or that even if they haven't paid you money, they've actually had results, because that's what clients care about, is just, can you provide results? That's number 2 thing. So book, testimonial brochure. So not just a lame brochure with pictures of your services. People don't look at that. It's really lame. It's very salesy. You want to be perceived as non-salesy and as the authority. So testimonial booklet, maybe a 5-page or 10-page booklet just with pictures of your former clients. Then I would definitely do something in video. So an interview could be an interview, with your phone. I would actually, put like at least 500 bucks or 1,000 bucks in creating something of high quality, so people can actually watch it and it conveys the, the authority you have. I also saw some really neat things being done with what's called LCD brochures. So it's basically, a brochure that when you open it, it plays a video. So you have the video at the, at the top of the book, and it plays when it opens. And that's a very good way. It can be a short presentation, a few minutes, just saying, thank you for ordering this kit, or this is such and such company. We just wanted to provide you with some information about what we do and how we help clients achieve XYZ results. So an LCD booklet with a video that autoplays. Google LCD brochure. What I would do also is give them some random stuff, meaning you can put some food, you can put cookies, you can put muffins, you can put something just weird that makes them think like, wow, this is actually funny. And attached to that food or whatever whatever piece of food you give them, you can actually put a handwritten note saying, you will need this when going through our material because there's so much to go through. Or thank you for taking the time to look at this material. Here's a cookie, or here's a box of cookies to better enjoy the process of looking at what we do. And really making it a real experience. If you create an experience out of someone, first of all, they're opening a box. So, a lot of people don't have the courage or just the open-mindedness of creating a box of stuff and sending that to them for free. I would actually send it for free. I wouldn't charge for it. Especially if your deals are worth 7 figures. I mean, spend $100 or even $200 in sending it to, to your ideal clients. Once you have that big box of stuff, you need to call them. Like, you need to follow up with them, because sending a box is not going to do anything. People receive stuff in the mail all the time, and even if they like the box, maybe they haven't had time to look at it. Maybe they've looked at it, they like it, but a CEO is just so busy that he might not have time to call you back. So if you invest the time in creating a really good shock and awe box, or a credibility box, that's maybe, like I said, 5 or 10 pounds, so maybe 2-3 kilos, like a real big box of stuff, take the time to follow up. After sending it, generally you want to wait for like a week and call and say, hey, we just sent you the box, do you have any questions, or did you enjoy the cookies? And really make them consume the content, because even if they love the box, I mean, how much stuff do we get in the mail and we just set it aside and it just takes dust, right? So think about that. You want to follow up. So the follow-up sequence is as important as the content in the box. So combining both is, by experience, the key to convert high-end deals, and also just stand out as the authority, because you've actually sent them a box of stuff with credibility pieces of what you do. Cool. Let's get to Timothy asks, why do so many consultants fail to get clients? Why do so many consultants fail to get clients? Timothy, I think that people are lazy. I think that people are passive. I think, first of all, I think the last stat I saw online I think there's about 400,000 consultants in the US alone. So I'd say 500,000. Say 500,000 people. If you add all the other countries, I mean, there's millions of consultants in the world. And so I think 99% of them, first of all, don't have a book. If you don't have a book, you are not perceived as the authority, or as much of an authority as you could be perceived as. So definitely have a book. I think people are just lazy and passive. I think a lot of people think that having a social media page, having a LinkedIn page, or having a website, or even just a Facebook page, will make people reach out to them and say, hey, I really want to give you money. I think just people are very passive. That's the number one thing, and they're not willing to do the work to establish the brand they have, or get more exposure. That's the number one thing. I also think that a lot of people don't have the skills to convert prospects into clients, because there's a big difference. There's a big difference between delivering the product and actually helping the client, and getting the client in the first place to give you money, right? So you need to be able to do both. If you don't like marketing and sales, but you love delivering your product and your service and do a good job, reach out to us. We can actually we can generate all the leads for you. We can sell for you. So that's kind of like a hands-free, done for you, service that we provide within my agency. If you want to do that yourself, that's fine, but understand that you need to be able to generate leads, and you need to be able to convert leads. Because usually consultants deliver a good product. The product delivery is rarely the issue. The real issue is getting clients in the first place. So I think with everything that's out there and available in terms of social media platforms that are just free, where you can just post content, a lot of people are just passive. They wait for the phone to ring, like artists, like actors, you know. Most of them are just like, you know, they walk around all day with their phone in their hands, just waiting for the agent to call, instead of being proactive, instead of building relationships and helping other people, you know, climb up. And at some point, someone that you've helped might, you know, help you eventually. So I think it's a matter of being proactive. Being proactive, that's number one, as a whole. And then understanding that you need to be able to convert prospects into clients. You need to understand sales, you need to understand lead gen. If you don't get lead gen and you don't get sales, it's going to be very difficult to make it as a consultant. So that's my answer to Timothy. Chrissy has a very good question. And this is actually the last question. So Chrissy asks, what is the easiest service to sell as a coach or a consultant? The easiest service to sell is done for you. Done for you. If you can take care of services and do everything and sell a done for you solution for your prospect, it's the best way to get, you know, to actually make money. Because I remember, you know, in my company, we've mainly done a lot of training. For years, we were doing a lot of training. So training entrepreneurs and business owners and coaches and consultants on how to market themselves, how to do lead gen, how to get more business. But then we shifted to offering done-for-you solutions, that's tremendous for two reasons. Number one is, we noticed that a lot of people that we would teach, so I usually would teach all the the boot camps and the seminars we'd run. The information was great, and I mean, the information was amazing. They had everything during those 2 or 3 days during the events, everything to build the business, to really, you know, increase sales. But the reality is, not everyone likes marketing, not everyone likes sales. So the problem is, if you don't like marketing and sales, how do you get business? So that's when I started the agency and why I started the agency. So it is the easiest service to sell. Now, of course, it's easy to sell, but the question is, can you deliver? You need to be able to deliver. If someone pays you premium and a lot of money to do something for them, you actually need to do it for them. So, you know, promising great things is great, but you actually need to deliver. So done for you services is the easiest. So anything that's a software, anything that's a hands-free turnkey solution, done for you solution is the easiest to sell, but on your end, you will have more work. But again, it's a different business model. You can charge much more for a done for you solution than just teaching, or just teaching and helping the clients rather than doing it for them. So that's Chrissy. That is the easiest service to sell as a coach or a consultant. Great. That's it for this week's Coach's Corner. I hope you had fun. For me, it was amazing to be able to share all this, to explore. And before we wrap this up, I want to talk about two books I really recommend. So for everyone on Periscope, these are the two books I recommend. I'm going to talk briefly about them now. The number one, so the first book is a book called Cashvertising. It's by Drew Eric Whitman. That's a really good book. I really like it. I actually have two copies. One because I bought one when I was traveling. I forgot it in my apartment, and I bought another one when I was traveling again. So I have two copies of this one. This is, I would say, one of the best books in terms of direct response marketing. It's basically a really good summary of how to write good headlines, how to create good hooks, how to appeal to what customers want, how to really get the attention. And so the headline is, so cash advertising, how to use more than 100 secrets of ad agency psychology to make big money selling anything to anyone. It's a very ambitious title, but this guy did a really good job, and I think it's an amazing book. Highly recommended. It's on my desk. I just work with it. Just have a look. Just to fuel new ideas and new angles. The second book is a classic. It's called Tested Advertising Methods by John Caples. This is a classic. I don't know exactly when this came out. This is decades ago. Let's have a look. Yeah, this came out. I don't know when the first copy was out, but this edition is from 1997, but I know this came out before. This is an amazing book. This is probably the best book about headlines, about creating headlines and also copywriting. So creating good hooks, right and wrong ways of writing headlines, finding the right appeal, advertising, how to test advertising, how to write the first paragraph, common problems in copywriting. So this is the Bible in copywriting. There's a few other ones, but this is one of my favorites. And this is kind of a hybrid between direct response, between big ad agency stuff, and I just think it's very practical stuff. So congratulations to these two guys. Caples is a legend, and Eric Whitman did a great job with cash advertising. So that's it for today, guys. That's it for this week's Coach's Corner. I hope you had a great time. I love sharing this with you. If you have any questions, reach out to me on social media. Connect directly to me. If you have questions about the agency and the services we provide, reach out. And that's it. We'll talk to you next week on the next episode of Coach's Corner. Talk soon.
Go to MatthiasMazur.com to watch more episodes of Coach's Corner and connect with Matthias on social media. See the links in the description below.